Hello traders, Mark Chapman here, the creator of the trademark Trap Traders Concepts. Welcome to today's Trap Traders Trade of the Day analysis. Today's date is Monday the 27th of November 2017, and the chart we're going to take a look at today is an hour chart of the Swiss yen. And just going to highlight, if you haven't already seen this yet, this very well-defined level that was getting played loads of times. Now, this is a perfect opportunity for some stops to accumulate. They won't accumulate to the level you might initially look at that and think that there would be tons of stops there, and the reason for that is because price traded to the other side of these ranges, right? So if you get used to sort of hitting this up and selling off these levels of resistance, you know, you're going to target the other side of that range for a take profit. Now, there will be some greedy so-and-sos who wanted to hold on in the hope that it would follow through, but by and large, if you sold here, you know, you're targeting the other end of the range, which means that your stops are not there anymore, right? That those build-ups of stops that you might imagine would be completely above that level are not necessarily there because the traders who sold here made it across the other end of the range and they bounce, and when they bounce, when they exit those sell positions, they take their stop loss orders with them. So it doesn't follow that just because you've got a well-defined level that you're going to have a huge build-up of stops. Now, what would have been nice to have here is price sell off again and not make it across the other end of the range. Now, it didn't quite make it, so you might get some carryover to the other touch, meaning that there will be some stops there from the people who sold here because it didn't quite make it to the other end of the range. So it'll catch one or two and they'll hold their positions. Now, this is the important part. Someone wrote me an email the other day, a gentleman called Chancery, so I hope he gets to see the video, and he was wondering, he sent me an example of an area where he thought there was a stop hunt and he sold at the level, believing that it had breached the level. Well, first thing was, it hadn't breached very far. It was definitely not what I would consider a stop hunt. You want to see price go, you know, beyond the level 10, 15 pips as a minimum. But the other part to it, and more importantly, was that there was a range that he had highlighted for me, and traders had been trading this range, and as I said, if you sold here just in this exact same example, then you took your profit on the other side of that well-defined range, and it was a well-defined range. So there's no stops there, so you can't have a stop hunt without any stops. And the way that you get stops at a well-defined level is you get some type of selling, in this example, at the level prior to the break. It's the only way you're going to get an accumulation of stops. That's how it happens. If the level is void of any stops, that's basically the process that needs to occur. Now, Chancery had highlighted his chart and sold, but there was no. He's wondering why it didn't work. Well, it didn't work because there wasn't any entry cheese at the level prior to the break of any description, and so if you ever see that situation where, let me just quickly draw, and I've done this last week, but I'll do it again. When you have a situation where price, imagine these are bull candles, it just goes straight up through the level, and you're thinking wrongly that there's stops there. If you get some type of manipulation, there's no way I'm selling that because I don't believe there's stops there. You've got to have that entry cheese prior to the break. Now, if we now go across to our example today, what do you have? Well, you might have a little bit of carryover because, as I said, it didn't quite make it to the range, but now you have stops because new traders are coming in and they're selling off that level, and they'll place their stops absolutely in a scenario like that because the level's attractive. They'll place a stop just above the level. There's your entry cheese. Now you've got stops. Now you're primed for a manipulation. So I just want to make this point as well. Like, if people are sort of trying to trade my ideas without coming into the inner circle and learning more of the nuance and more of the detail, you are going to come unstuck. And it's not a case of, oh, I took a trade and it didn't work, or this one didn't work and these ones did, so can you tell me why that didn't work? Well, yeah, I can, but not in a 10-minute video. You need to come and learn. You know, I've been doing this for what feels like a lifetime, right? 14 odd years or whatever it is. You're not going to get that nuance in these daily videos. I give as much as I can, and that's, you know, I hopefully improving a lot of traders' ability to do this. But there's nuance that, you know, I don't sometimes know what I know, because, you know, I've been doing it for so long. So don't say, oh, it didn't work, because, you know, I'm just saying this generally. Don't say, oh, it didn't work, or why didn't that setup work? It didn't work because it wasn't a setup. Potentially, maybe it was a setup and it didn't, excuse me, it didn't work, and that's absolutely possible too, right? But you're not going to get absolutely everything you need from these free daily videos. You're going to have to come into the inner circle so that I can give you these nuances and finish and complete the picture for you. And that's not a pitch to come in. Either you do or you don't. But I'm just saying, you know, it's important that you understand that there can be a little bit more to this, and you're only going to get that through either one experience or two, you know, coming in the inner circle. So we have the sell-off. And let's just imagine that you will witness this in real time. It starts to break up, but it's not very convincing. It sells off again. Now, if you're a level trader and you saw that big old wick and then it was followed by some negative candles, you're thinking what? You're thinking sell and trade to the other side of the range. And what that does again is it just adds another layer of stops above the levels. So we've got some stops from this entry cheese, we've got some stops from this entry cheese, and we've potentially got a little bit of stop loss building over from that previous move where people maybe hung on. Now there will still be some stops from these previous moves, from, as I said, those greedy so-and-sos that were holding for a break. But you know, the most important thing, that's not very many people, right? So what you want is you need that additional influx of stops. So that's what we get, and then we get, boom, an outside candle trap, and off it goes to the races. Now there isn't a person on planet Earth who wouldn't look at that level and say that hadn't broke. Just imagine if you took a you know, if you had a hotel full of traders and you had 10,000 of them in the room, and you asked them, given the context of that prior level, and you asked them, is that a proper breakout, is this breaking out? I would suggest that 99.9% of people would consider that a proper breakout. It goes 40 odd pips, it must have surely broken out. Well, I can tell you that stop hunts can go further than that and not be breakouts. Again, right? Again, these are some of the concepts that I try and articulate in these sessions, but you might never hear me say that. So you would look at that and go, oh, it's no way is this a stop hunt. But I would look at that and say, absolutely, it's still a stop hunt. You've got to think more laterally, guys. So then you get your retracement traders, they pile in, go along. So what's gone on here? You've had the stop losses nailed by the sellers at the level. Okay, so those are buy orders. As price breaks up through the level, you're then getting huge amounts of willing breakout buying going on. Then you get your pullback, then you get your retracement. Doesn't quite break out from that high. Retracement traders go along. Level bounces back to the level. Retracement traders buy off a level of previous and very well defined resistance, support, resistance becoming future support. Right in there you can just see a wick. I'll clean it up. More buy in there, it is. Because what does a retracement trader love? Nothing more than doing buying off those structures, right? Ping, they go in, so they're in here, right? If we drop down, you would obviously see the bull candles in a bit more detail. So now you've got those guys going in, and then boom, comes back to the level. You got to expect a bit of a bounce off there. More buy-in, collapses. So net, if you walk through the logic, there has been an awful lot of induced, seduced and willing buying occurred at this very well defined level. So something has done a lot of selling here. So if you get a pullback, the underside of that level's decent, and I would imagine from there you're going to get a breakout, but you might be well advised just to, you know, maybe look and take some profits on the other side of that range, but with the idea of maybe getting back in and selling the underside, because there's going to be stops. There's going to be a few stops there as well. It's for the same reason, you know, there won't be loads, because these moves all worked, right? If you bought off here, you know, you made your money. If you bought off there, you made your money. If you bought off there, you made your money. You kept making money every time you bought off there. So there's no entry cheese for that last move along, but you'll get the odd person still hanging around, and because of that, there'll be a few stops under there. But there was definitely stops above here, and all of these traders have been manipulated in, and now they've been nailed. So this looks like a decent area to take a shot. And as I say, guys, if you want to get that nuance, that detail, that experience, you know, so that you fully understand these ideas and concepts, then click on the link below, and I'll see you on the inside. Take care.